Welcome, poets, to this evening's episode of the Poet's Dilemma podcast. I'm your host, Jacquelynn King. I know a few weeks ago I mentioned that there were going to be interviews. They haven't happened yet, but it is something that I do intend to eventually achieve. And your patience is a mirror to my eagerness to help create spaces that facilitate dialogues. So please bear with me as I scope out the logistics, production, the technical craft, and the groundbreaking muckraker instincts that make for a good interview and a good interviewer. I'm not there yet, poets. For now, all you got is me, kid, and I vow to do my damn best with what I got, which has actually been the producing and creating of nothing at all. I've been finding myself experiencing a grand gap in my writing these last couple of months. I've been traveling so much, it's as if my creative energy is being sucked into a plane engine. I have been wanting to write, but I haven't taken the time. When I reflect on the positive impact that writing and reciting, fun fact, reciting is a hobby of mine, has on my well-being, I am reminded that the crave for answers is useless without a profound appetite for questions. That rich curiosity that is determined to uncover something so obvious. It's like definitely already in the room with us. And if all of this, writing, exploring, reading, investigating, pondering, can deliver such serenity to the mind, what responsibility do we hold to proliferate it, to make it accessible? It's not just my story. It's your story too. Let's begin to mold the narrative like clay. We are the makers. Now, as I finally begin to take this moment to release the thoughts in my brain that have been wandering, asking, and revealing, the morning haze breaks, and we find the dilemma on cue for today, the duty of the bard, the poet, the storyteller, and inevitably the keeper of history and folklore through the passage of time. Let's get into it. So let's dissect this. The bard represents knowledge transfer, communication, prospects, hopes, losses, and legends in ancient Celtic society. The bard accepts the responsibility of knowledge, then chooses what they do with that knowledge and what allegiances they uphold. In essence, I believe the loyalty of the bard should be to progress. But the reality is, throughout history, there were a bunch of bards that found themselves in reckless shenanigans that exist between the space of knowledge and progress. The bard throughout history has taken many forms. I am a 21st century bard. Though I lack the political machinations, I write poems to try to make sense of the meaning of life by attempting to understand the past and the way it informs the present, which births our future. Side note, I majored in intellectual history at UC Berkeley, so yeah, this kind of stuff gets me wet. Poems are lessons released through the use of language, written, spoken, sung, and signed through body movement. Progressive societal development rested heavy on the bard's shoulders. The stories told were the aggressions, fears, hopes, and allyship that influenced societal behaviors. These are the narratives that history clings to, defining who our heroes are and who are the perpetrators. It's a small tragedy when you think about it. that we lost touch with lending our ears to philosophical thinkers, to social critics and journalists that help guide and formulate the questions we are all asking, but we don't know how to say ourselves. We exchanged our intellectual prowess for social media influencers. And don't judge me. I mean, I'm on social media too, but I'm not an influencer. Wait, it's embarrassing. I was going to say that the social media influencers are in bed with Daddy C, which is actually now equally, if not more, embarrassing than what I just previously said. All right, let's get back into it. So, not to undermine the reality that throughout history and in our present day, there have been and are intellectual communities, whether hidden or public, courageous or exclusive, that have and continue to influence society, to ask questions of the current state of things. The really amusing part of time is that we control how to use it. Collectively, we dispose of our time under the dictatorship of capitalism. I called him Daddy C earlier, if you didn't pick up what I put down. I should also say, as I continue to divulge my own hypocrisy, as I have greatly benefited by this capitalistic system, that I am an economic determinist. I believe that our societal behaviors are dictated by the economic system at play. There are a variety of other schools of thought when it comes to determinism, such as political determinism, theological determinism, technological determinism, environmental determinism, and so on and so forth. Have you ever thought about it? What do you believe in? Economic determinism is the belief that society, politics, and culture are driven by the exchange of commerce. Essentially, the agreed upon giving and receiving of things, power, and access. I tangentially deploy this because we are at the mercy of this agreement that was decided before we were born, but quite exceptionally enough, collectively have the power to change, contribute to, and influence. Of course, to complain about our economic system to all the self-sustained communes that exist within all the mountains in the world would trigger an eye roll. But let's rationalize and admit that going rogue isn't always a constructive resolution to condemning capitalism's abuse. It's been historically reckoned that capitalism has afforded society great progress and growth, though that growth is married to the wealth disparity gap, classism, and racism. Like, it's straight from a Huxley novel. I swear, it's freaky. But okay, wait, stay with me. I'm going to round this all about, I hope, and get us back to the dilemma of the bard. Stick with me. We're going to get there. Our addiction to instant gratification is capitalism's soma. It subdues us into justifying the means in exchange for the pleasure. I begrudgingly admit, on the contrary to my philosophical disposition, that I am guilty of relishing in this grotesque candyland that is capitalism. The economic affairs draw our attention to the things that make capitalism thrive. Vanity, consumption, jealousy, insecurities, competition, and big old daddy greed. These side effects of capitalism drive the lens in which we choose to communicate, advocate, and consume. So there we go. See, I told us I was going to bring us back here. With all of this in consideration, as writers of our time, what are the stories we're choosing to tell? History is remembered by whose voices are the loudest. Power and wealth tries to convince us otherwise. That is where the bard rose up during the Bronze Age and became the individual in the society who entertained, observed, reminded, and remembered. When it wasn't indentured servitude, some bards were even getting paid. Yay, there's hope for me. So as I was researching and reading for this episode, I went down a rabbit hole of remembering all the ages of time. So I thought I'd write like a little flashback tale to remind everyone of the eras. Buckle up, kids. This is going to be fun. Okay, so we start in the Stone Age. Think psychedelic mushrooms and the beginning of consciousness, timekeeping, rubbing two rocks together to make fire. Bronze Age. Think Celtic warriors, boisterous bards, pyramids, and allegedly electricity. Iron Age, the fall of developed civilization. Antiquity. This is a comeback story, all thanks to art, culture, and poetry. Then we get fucked right back into the Middle Ages because war. The Middle Ages is my least favorite era in history. The mentality, values, and experimentation were kinky as fuck, and not in a do that thing to me again kind of way. The Renaissance ate, and art was celebrated again. Then we have the early modern era. Think Gutenberg's press and the slave trade and the sugar trade and gold trim for all you Baroque bitches. Industrial era. In comes urban. We're talking cities, machines, labor, Ford's assembly line, and the 5-day work week. Fuck that guy. An Upton Sinclair novel, The Jungle, was published towards the end of the era in 1906 for all you U.S. history AP kids. That's always a question on the exam. Modern age. We're freaking out. There's atomic bombs, world wars, existential crisis, but also feminism and LSD and disco music. So it was like, are we having fun yet? And then the information age, where we are at today. All thanks to little Chippy, the microchip. Oh, that was so much fun to write. Within these circumstances, we have to sit with ourselves and decide, what story are we writing? What is the era that we name ourselves? What parts of history are going to be remembered? And with whose voice? It can't be. It can't be. The one you know I'm talking about. That voice. Ugh. Come on. We're chicer than that. It's quite a burden the bard bears, some may say, but there is no burden where there is resilience. Recordings of the bard in Celtic societies go as far back as the Bronze Age, when humanity learned that melting two soft metals, copper and tin, would alchemize into a much harder metal, an alloy, bronze. In comes swords, shields, palaces, pyramids, and poetry. The bard dips into a state of consensual obligation, the idea of consenting to a moral, ethical, and betterment of the greater whole of humanity, in an attempt to help us learn our lessons as we strive towards harmony. We need this type of guidance as a society. We need perspective. We need remembrance to forge a path of healing and a path of learning. A path towards a universal equality. We all deserve it. It's a birthright. I invite you to close your eyes and listen to the Druid song of Armagen, translated by Lady Gregory, Irish dramatist and folklorist, creating during the turn of the century. She lived from 1852 to 1932. Reimagining mythologies, she bridges our language to the past. One of the oldest known Irish poems, written by Bard Armagen. I am the wind on the sea. I am the wave of the sea. I am the bull of 7 battles. I am the eagle on the rock. I am a flash from the sun. I am the most beautiful of plants. I am a strong wild boar. I am a salmon in the water. I am a lake in the plain. I am the word of knowledge. I am the head of the spear in battle. I am the god that puts fire in the head, who spreads light in the gathering on the hills. Who can tell the ages of the moon? Who can tell the place where the sun rests? This next poem I would like to share is from the Epic of Gilgamesh. If you haven't read it, I highly advise you take yourself out for a chai tea latte with almond milk. Oh, is that controversial? And go pick yourself up a copy. It's remarkable. It's the oldest record of literature we have. Written in ancient Mesopotamia around 2100 BCE, lived a long lineage of anonymous poetic ancestors. This is the oral poetry echoed for generations. Gilgamesh speaks. Shall I not die too? Am I not like Enkidu? Grief has entered my innermost being. I am afraid of death, so I roam the wilderness. As I lay on the ground, I hear a voice. You will never find that life for which you are looking. When the gods created man, they allotted to him death, but life they retained in their own keeping. This monologue from Gilgamesh comes shortly after the death of Enkidu, Gilgamesh's everything. His best friend, his battle buddy, his soulmate. I'm going to give it to you real. Gilgamesh and Enkidu were the ultimate date couple in ancient Mesopotamia. Okay? Let's just call it a spade of spade. So as you can ultimately understand, Gilgamesh is shattered when Enkidu dies, and his grief launches him on a desperate quest for immortality. These old texts embody what is really at the core of the human experience: resilience. From the beginning of time, we have all felt the same emotions, albeit activated differently. It's the same thing that makes Shakespeare so timeless. It is understanding humanity's tropes and cliches. The cliches are only cliches because they're common. Revisiting these ancient poems inspired me to write an old sailor hymn. Imagine yourself at sea for weeks on a setting day, retreating from the wind, and suddenly everything around you becomes still. Here we come from the land and sea. I see you. Do you see me? A siren, so desperate she could plea, with the man whistling on the lee. You're welcome, and also thank you. Do you see how everything is all tied up and connected? All the contingencies, they try to eat us. But remember, we are clever. The human spirit craves amusement, and the amusing is a very large spectrum. Pivoting only takes 2 steps, and the first step is what requires the push towards momentum. The second is our reward. I would like to leave you with one more poem that recently came together. It feels like for literal years now, decades perhaps at this point, I have written the words, "Who does history belong to?" And I've tried answering it and moving it from one poem to the next, which is honestly, ultimately, likely to be its destiny, forever reappearing, reshaping in a constant cycle of becoming. For now, we have a poem named Belonging. History belongs to those whose voices are the loudest, so I whisper to remember the untold stories marked with blood on the walls of unkept paint, peeling constantly like the epidermis, not feeling its departure, but participating in the rotting of its disintegration and integration into fresh flesh that glows with the sun of aspiration. You know what? I am my own inspiration. Our story could be of liberation. Liberated. I stand liberated. It takes just one step. Go ahead. Step. One step closer to my arms reaching out to you so you no longer need to be alone, feel alone, love alone. As those first nights of contentious life that contemplated the worthiness of the very soul, shadowed deep in a hole, stone cold, bold, awakening with the sliver of bravery is more bravery than the night before. I'll be as brave as the last dead soul. Do you know why I wear a crown? So I can be closer to the God I worship, with conviction in our collective narration that can heal all the wrongs into light, so we can soon sleep tight at night, bereaved in my grief. Everything is the end of a cycle, and our Geist keeps ticking towards an unwound clock that rotates backwards as the world moves forward faster. The moon, have you ever thought? She's the daughter of a bastard. Lackluster stature. No, sir. You will not be my master. That concludes this week's episode of the Poet's Dilemma podcast. I'm your host, Jacquelynn King. Thanks for listening. Tonight was fun in its rambunctious ramblings of duty, capitalism, and storytelling. Many blessings until I see you next. Good night.